Day 1. Awakening. The sun burned my eyelids. I opened my eyes and the world slowly appeared through a veil of pain. My head ached, and my body ached in every joint. At first, I thought it was a dream, a nightmare that I was about to wake up from. But the sand under his fingers was too real, wet and cool. I was lying on my back, staring up at the dazzling blue sky. The memory came back in fragments. The yacht, sea nymph, a storm, a sudden blow, screams, cold water. Dad was shouting something about life jackets. Mom was trying to reach me. Then darkness. I got up slowly, propping myself up on my elbows. A beach of white sand, fringed by palm trees, stretched out in front of me. Behind him is a dense tropical forest. The ocean was calm, almost mockingly gentle. No wreckage. No more people. Mom? Dad? My voice sounded hoarse and uncertain. Only the sound of the surf in response. I looked at myself. Blue shorts, a white t-shirt, now dirty and torn, sandals on one foot. On his wrist is a waterproof watch, a gift for his 23rd birthday. They were still ticking. 10:47 a.m. The first thought was childish and ridiculous. I'm going to be late for work. Then reality hit with renewed force. I was alone, on an unknown island, without water, without food. I have no idea where I am. Tears welled up in my throat, but I clenched my fists. No, Anya, not now. Assess the situation first. I stood up, staggering. My head was spinning from dehydration. I had to find water. I remembered this from documentaries about survival. Without water, 3 days. Without food, 3 weeks. Day 1 to 3, the first steps to life. The first 3 days turned into one continuous nightmare. I explored the coastline. The island turned out to be small, maybe a couple of kilometers long. No sign of civilization. No huts, no debris, no footprints. On the second day, I found a stream. A small stream of fresh water flowing down from a hill in the center of the island. I drank greedily, like an animal, not thinking about the bacteria. Then I threw up. My body was unaccustomed to the liquid. On the third day, I built a primitive shelter made of palm leaves and branches. It looked more like a shelter for children, but it provided shade. I didn't sleep at night. Every rustle made me shudder. What if there are predators here? Snakes? Spiders? There was no food. I tried to eat coconuts, but I couldn't open them without tools. I tried to chew the young shoots of palm trees. It was bitter and tasteless. Hunger became a physical pain, dull and obsessive. Day 4. First victory. The morning of the 4th day started with rain, a tropical downpour that descended from heaven like a blessing. I put out an empty coconut shell, which I finally cracked with a stone, and caught the drops in my mouth. Then I figured out how to make a water tank out of large leaves. After the rain, I decided to explore the interior of the island, and found it, an old, dilapidated barn. Apparently, there was once a temporary fishing camp here. There are treasures inside. A rusty knife, the blade is blunt but still cutting. An empty tin can, pieces of nylon rope, plastic bottle, half burnt out in the sun. I cried while holding this knife in my hands. It's like finding a diamond. Now I had a tool. Weapon. Chance. In the evening, I lit the first bonfire. 3 hours of rubbing sticks, calluses on the palms, despair, almost a breakdown. And suddenly there was smoke, spark, flame. I screamed with joy, danced around the fire like a savage. Fire meant warmth, protection, cooked food. For dinner, snails gathered on the rocks. I fried them on a hot stone. It tasted like rubber with a taste of sand. But it was food. The first real meal in 4 days. Day 5 to 10, the formation of Robinson. These days have become a time of learning. I was turning from a scared city girl into a survivor. Water. I made a filter out of sand, charcoal, and t-shirt fabric. Now she didn't drink straight from the stream, but boiled water. Food. I learned how to catch crabs. She waited for the tide to turn, found holes in the sand, and dug them out with a stick. I ate the first crab almost alive. I was so hungry. Then I learned how to cook them in a tin can. I found edible berries. I checked using the eat-wait method. A small piece, wait for several hours. If there is no nausea, you can eat. I found bushes with blackberries that look like blueberries. They became my vitamin dessert. Shelter. Rebuilt the hut into a more durable structure. The frame is made of thick branches. The walls are made of intertwined palm leaves. I laid out the floor with dry grass. A semblance of a house appeared. Routine. In order not to go crazy, I started a strict routine. 6 a.m., waking up, collecting dew from the leaves. 7 to 10, search for food. 10 to 12, work on home improvement. 12 to 14, rest in the shade, the hottest part. 14 to 17, gathering resources, research. 1700 to 1900, dinner preparation. 1900 to 2100, keeping a diary, with charcoal on flat stones. 2100. Sleep diary became my psychotherapy. I wrote letters to my parents even though I knew they would probably... No, I won't think about it. I write as if they will read it. Day 11. The first serious danger. On the morning of the 11th day, I went to the stream to get water and almost stepped on it. Snake. Thick with bright yellow stripes. She raised her head, hissing. I froze. His heart was pounding so loudly that it seemed to be audible on the other side of the island. Slowly, very slowly, she retreated. The snake wasn't chasing. I've been shaking all day. What if it's poisonous? What if there are a lot of them? At night, every rustle outside the hut seemed like a snake's crawl. In the morning, I made myself quote 5 from pieces of cloth and rope. She only wore them now, and she always took a long stick with her to spread the grass before walking. Day 15. Fishing. By 2 weeks, hunger had become a constant companion. There were not enough crabs and snails. More serious food was needed. I decided to try fishing. I made a fishing rod, a long, flexible branch, a fishing line made of loose nylon threads, a hook made of bra wire. The bait is worms from the moist earth by the stream. The first day is nothing, the second one too. On the third day, it took a bite. A palm-sized fish, silvery and wriggling. I pulled it out, my hands shaking. It was psychologically difficult to kill her. I'm a city dweller who buys vacuum-packed fillets. I had to hit him on the head with a stone. I cried while doing it. But when I ate the fish baked on coals... God, that was the most delicious dinner of my life. The squirrel! Real, satisfying protein. Day 20. Illness. On the 20th day, I woke up with a fever. My body ached, my throat was sore, and my head was pounding. Panic. This is the end. Infection. I'm going to die here alone. I spent the whole day lying in the hut drinking water. I was delirious at night. I saw my parents, friends, and my office in Moscow. I woke up sweating, crying, and fell asleep again. On the morning of the 21st day, it became a little easier. The temperature dropped, probably just overwork and mild poisoning. This experience made me take hygiene more seriously. I set up a wash basin, a depression in the stream with a smooth stone for washing. She began to boil all the water. I made a toilet at a distance from the camp and the stream. Day 25. Discovery and loss. Walking around the island, I found a cave, a small depression in the rock hidden by vines. It's dry and cool inside. And footprints! Not human, but some kind of animal. Small hooves. So there are animals on the island. Perhaps wild goats, like the Selkirk from the story. I spent a week making traps. A pit covered with branches and leaves. The bait is overripe berries. On the 30th day, I checked the trap. It worked, but not in the way I expected. There was not a kid in the pit, but a strange animal that looked like a large rat with a fluffy tail. He looked at me with intelligent black eyes, trembling. I couldn't kill him. I pulled him out of the pit and he ran away. In the evening, she scolded herself. Fool! It's meat! The squirrel! You could have survived! But deep down, she was glad she hadn't become a murderer. Day 30. Halfway. 30 days. A month on the island. An anniversary, if you can call it that. I made a quote 10 for myself. I cooked a double portion of crabs, picked the ripest berries, even found wild ginger. I recognized it by the smell. I added it to the quote 11 from the leaves. I was sitting by the campfire, looking at the stars. They're so bright here. I have never seen the Milky Way in Moscow, but here it stretched across the sky, a silver river in the dark. I started a conversation with an imaginary friend. I named it crabs after the first crab I caught. Stupid? Yes. But it helped not to go crazy from loneliness. You know, crabs, I said. Sometimes it seems to me that this is not a punishment, but a gift. A strange, terrible gift. I've never known myself like this. Strong, resolute. In the city, I was afraid to call a client I didn't know. But here I kill fish with a stone and sleep next to snakes. Krabs was silent, but I felt that he understood. Day 35, storm. He came suddenly. The sky darkened in minutes. The wind howled and the palm trees bent almost to the ground. The rain was lashing horizontally. My hut couldn't stand it. The roof was blown off, the walls folded up like a house of cards. I ran towards the cave, wet and scared, with a precious knife in one hand and a tin can in the other. I waited out the storm in the cave. 2 days. 2 days of darkness, cold, and fear. There was no food. All the supplies were left in the destroyed camp. On the 3rd day, the storm subsided. I went out to the devastated beach. Palm trees have been felled, the coastline has changed, and my house is a pile of trash. And then I saw her. The bottle. A plastic bottle thrown away by the waves. And inside, a note! My hands were shaking as I pulled out the wet paper. The inscription in English reads, "If you find this, we are looking for you. Coordinates. Hold on. Mom and Dad. They're alive! They're looking for me!" I cried, laughed, and kissed this note. Hope! A real, tangible hope. Day 36 to 45. New life. She began to rebuild with renewed vigor. Now I had a goal, to wait for salvation, and prepare for it. She built a new house, no longer a hut, but a real hut. The frame is made of sturdy branches, the walls are made of intertwined vines, and the roof is made of several layers of palm leaves. Inside there is a bed made of dry grass, shelves for storage, and a fireplace at the entrance.